Hello, world history students. This is Mrs. Politsky, and I have your notes for Chapter 19, Section 1. And we're going to talk a little bit about the rise and expansion of the Ottoman Empire. In number 1, in the late 13th century, the Turks, under their leader Osman, began to build power within the northwestern corner of the Anatolia Peninsula. The Anatolia Peninsula is like part of present-day Turkey. And if you look at the map, I'm just going to move my cursor. This would be the region where I'm kind of moving my cursor over, not very far from what would be the Balkan Peninsula, talking about, back in the ancient times, some of this territory probably would have been part of ancient Greece. But needless to say, the Osman Turks founded an empire known as the Ottoman Empire. And as you look at the map here, the Ottoman Empire by the 1560s really covered a good portion of southeastern Europe, what would be pretty much the entirety of the Balkan Peninsula. That would include countries today like Greece, but would also include what would eventually become known as Yugoslavia, eventually Bulgaria, Hungary, to a certain extent, kind of getting very close to what would be modern day Russia. And then obviously what would be the Holy Land, a portion of Iraq, a little bit of maybe Kuwait, uh, parts of Arabia, northern parts of Africa, including Egypt. So this was a very powerful group of people, and part of it had to do with the fact that the locality of where this empire is located. You're at a crossroads. The Silk Roads that were going towards China, uh, when you talk about, walking that trail, a lot of it leads back to, areas of the Black Sea and the Mediterranean. And so this allowed for the Ottoman to become very, very wealthy. So anyway, in number 2, the Ottoman military had 2 advantages. They had elite soldiers who were loyal to their sultan. They also had superior new weapons. This would eventually include the use of gunpowder, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. Anyway, the location of Anatolia was special in that it laid at a strategic intersection of Asia and Europe. Present day Turkey is one of those unique countries that's actually in 2 continents, because a portion of it is actually in Europe, the vast majority of it actually in Asia. Anyway, the Ottomans showed cultural and religious tolerance because they believed that they would face less opposition or oppression from the conquered, and they could benefit from their knowledge. So, this whole idea that, if, let's say, you were living in the eastern part of the Mediterranean, where cities like Jerusalem and Damascus were, those places had large numbers of Jews and Christians. Many of these people are going to be allowed to keep their faith. But at the same time, they're probably going to have to pay higher taxes to the different sultans so that they can kind of keep their, keep their way of life. So anyway, the Janissaries or Janissaries were created in the Balkans. The Balkans are an area or a region that is located on the Balkan Peninsula. That's kind of where present day Greece is. When Christian boys were taken from their families, they were converted to Islam and trained as soldiers, with the whole idea that over time that this would help spread the Islamic faith among the people. Mahmud II, who you see pictured off to the right, was able to take some of his Ottoman soldiers, and they marched upon the city of Constantinople, which was part of the Byzantine Empire, and they were able to defeat the city. And this was considered cruel because many of the people were killed, who primarily were Orthodox Christians. And the fact that we saw the destruction of this great city as being unnecessary. When we talk about the Hagia Sophia, that very large Christian church that was in Constantinople, that's church within a matter of days after Mahmud II basically has his victory over Constantinople, is going to be converted into a mosque. And even the city of Constantinople is going to get a name change. It's going to be now known as Istanbul, as it is today, thanks to Mahmud II. Thank you very much.